This is the study and analysis of languages. It, it studies the structure and development of languages in a general of a particular language. In other words, it is the study of language as it changes with time. It is also a scientific study and analysis of language and the relationship between various language groups. Language study helps us to discover its form, its content, vocabulary, and grammar. It can tell us the historical experience of the people who speak or who spoke it. It can also show migratory patterns and the spread and influence of a language as a whole, or certain ideas held by the people who speak it. People who speak related languages are assumed to have a common origin. However, variations between languages of the same family can show how long ago the break in contact occurred. Greater variations show longer periods of separation. Language distribution is important in showing the original center of the fusion, a homeland, and indicates migration of those who spoke it. C. Archaeology. Archaeology is the study of humans past by scientific analysis of the material remains of their culture. Archaeologists find evidence from past traces left by humans, such as coins, bones, tools, pottery, beads, and remains of buildings, among other things. The existence of artifacts in an area can enable a historian to conclude the kind of material culture the people living there had in the past. Log paintings of certain animals on cave walls would indicate that the people lived in caves and were hunters. For example, in Rwanda, archaeologists Grand Brick undertook researches between 1978 and 1979 in the east, west, and north of Gisagara and Huye districts where he discovered many iron furnaces. Since 1978, Bernard Lugan excavated 4 sites in Akagera National Park where he found Wiltonian types, type stone tools that had been used forever thousands of years. These discoveries and the many others made offer are evidence of early human settlement in Rwanda and the accompanying economic activities. Method of gathering historical evidence through archaeology. Archaeologists locate historical sites through the following methods. One, they look for areas where erosion has occurred, exposing surfaces which may have some clues. They follow these clues to find fossils and artifacts. At times, they have to dig deep before they can find any physical remains. Two, they utilize their vision. In this case, they find on the surface a small part of a settlement, such as a few stones in a regular pattern. Such are Such areas are usually of a different color from the ground around them. 3. Historical research. A place may be mentioned in historical documents or in an oral narrative. For example, Omo Valley or Odoi George. For experience, an archaeologist can tell what kind of geographical area to look for where these features might be found. Through cultivation and building construction, farmers and builders may expose ancient objects that can rouse the curiosity of researchers. For example, Nyayo ya Mungu in Tanzania, where a single extra large footprint was found engraved on a rock surface. D. Anthropology. Anthropology is the study of man, his development, customs, beliefs, and social relationships. To be successful in their study, anthropologists has to live among the people to experience their way of life. To live with people to experience their way of life. This helps them to understand and explain structures of society, forms of social organization, institutions, form of governments, system of inheritance, descent, marriage, religious customs, and cultural values. At the same time, they can explain aspects of the economy such as fishing, crop growing, and cattle keeping on which a given community relies. The anthropological description of the beliefs and the custom of people helps the historian to visualize the cultural past of the people. The subject matter of anthropology is basically historical in character. Anthropologists select different aspects of human culture derived from a common matrix. Since human cultures are not eternal, like the subject matters of physics and chemistry, it changes with time. Each and every institutionalized organization, technological organization, economic organization, political organization, and religious organization is subjected to change. they remain largely relative and restricted to the particular situations. Therefore, all phenomena need a historical analysis. Many of the institutions studied by anthropologists deal with such structure, which is essentially temporal or historical. For example, to study and development, anthropologists to study any development, anthropologists have to trace the event from the beginning. Naturally, such a study gets associated with history. For instance, in Rwanda, stone tools, iron smelting, poetry, bricks, animal and human bones were found in different sites such as Burera, Ruhondo, Nyamugari, Akagera National Park, Butare Region, Cyankuza, Kamabuye, Dahwe, Karama, Kabuye, Rubona, Muyaga, Ruhashya, Nyange, Bweya, Gikomo, Remera, Ndago, Kavumu, Bugarama, and Masangano by Simon Van Noten, Emile Locke, and Marie-Claude Van Grandbrick since 1968. The time when systematic researches started in Rwanda allowed the reconstruction of the settlement of Rwanda through a series of migrations, as well as their associated cultural and linguistic aspects dating back between 17th and 3rd centuries before Christ. E. Genetics. Genetics is the scientific study. Genetics. Genetics is the scientific study of the ways in which characteristics are passed from parents to their offspring. The study relating to plants is particularly useful to the historians. By studying plants from time of their domestication, their movements and appearance, new cultivated varieties can be identified with the people whose country they form part. Moreover, genetics data provides information matching historical events and evidence of previously unrecorded genetics mixing. For example, the DNA of the two people in modern China suggests that at around 1200, Europeans similar to modern Greeks mixed with a Chinese-like population. Probably the source of these Europeans like DNA might be measured traveling on the nearby Silk Road. F. Written sources. 1. Archives and early manuscripts. Archives are A collection of historical documents or records, especially current classified information, but made accessible to the public after some times. Archives are also places for keeping public or government and other historical records. They are rich in historical information. A manuscript is a document that is written by hand, not typed or printed. Manuscripts, like those of which the Bible and the Quran are based, were of two types: stone tablets and scrolls. There, there are two types of archives on the history of Rwanda: public archives and private archives. The public archives are kept in Kigali National Archives Central at Kicukiro opposite Rwandex, in Huye at National Industrial Research and Development Agency's Archives Library, Documentation Center, and the National Institute of Scientific Research, Institute, Institut de Recherche Scientifique, ELS. Then, private archives are kept by Catholic parishes at Kabgayi. 3. Printed sources. Printed sources of history or historical information include books, newspapers, diaries, photographs, and news letters. Diaries refers to the daily records of events in the business transactions. From such records, historian can gain information on the environment from, for example, a landslide and its effect. Photographs employ both electronic and printing processes. However, they also fall under printed sources. Newspapers convey new or fresh events, but with the passing of the time, they soon move to the past. For example, a newspaper may report about the outbreak of a disease in a certain area or destruction caused by strong winds. These events may be reported very emotionally and subjectively as fresh happening. But a deeper research into the event generates historical information, since the consequences are revealed either immediately or in the long term. Photographs are also sources of information as they depict the situation as it was or is. In Rwanda, printed sources are found in publishing areas, publishing houses, bookshops, state and private institutions, place houses, public and private libraries throughout the country. Okay. Electronic or audiovisual sources. Electronic sources of historical information include the following: A. Microfilms. These are films on which extremely small photographs. Micro photographs of documents and printed matter are stored. These may be teeny but can be read when magnified. Documents are usually converted to microfilms for the purpose of preservation and saving storage space. B. Television. Films and video. These combine both pictures and sounds, thus depicting the situation as it was. For example, recordings of the 1994 genocide against Tutsi in Rwanda, called indisputable historical evidence of what actually happened as the action was captured live. C. The radio. It captures the words and emotions of an event as it was. For example, a child born after Rwanda's liberation is able to capture the mood of the moment when the Rwandan flag was adopted in 201 in 2001, even without being told about it or reading it. E. Data banks and databases. These are large stories, large stores of organized information which can be accessed in a number of ways by the user. For example, via internet. Stored information may be printed when required but can also be accessed instantly. For example, the Ministry of Health may have records of infant deaths in an area of the country. In the database, they may classify the information in great detail as to the different gender, ages, and causes of death. Current events can also be stored to be used later as historical information. H. Geology. Geology is the scientific study of the Earth's crust, rock strata, and the history of its development. Geologists are the people who study rocks. Sometimes they come across fossils which give additional information on human beings. Geologists can also approximate the age of fossils by studying the layers of rocks in which they are found. Thank you very much for listening attentively. Next week, we will see the relationship between history and other subjects. Thank you. See you the next time.